Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today I want to do an album ranking. Originally I thought that I was going to do like a rambling review of Megadeth's The Sick, the Dying, and the Dead, kind of in the style of my Prey review of the Prey the Nose Predator movie. But I don't know, I don't really feel like I can ramble about music for like at least a specific album as long as I can do a movie like Prey. So especially on a franchise that I love. So I'm gonna share my thoughts on the new album because I'm gonna be sharing my thoughts on all the albums. We're gonna rank Megadeth's entire discography, at least just the studio albums, because there's really not a need for any of the live albums. And I'm gonna pull up Wikipedia just to keep the entire, like, all the lineup changes kind of just so that way I can see them. And let's go discography. Let's just start there. All right, sick. So yeah, let's just get straight into it. So we've got Killing Is My Business. I also organized all the albums. They're in the release order, so that way I can just pick the first one off. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 albums. That is a lot. That is a lot of albums, a lot of music. You know, obviously well over 100 songs. But yeah, let's just keep going. Killing Is My Business and Business Is Good, the debut. Well, I mean, it definitely set out what Mustaine wanted it to do, which was to be faster, louder, more aggressive than Metallica. Because, you know, he kind of got kicked out of that band. But I'm sure you already know that, so I will spare you the story. But as far as an actual album listening experience goes, it's good. Like, I wouldn't say that Megadeth has really made any albums that are truly terrible. Even the one that I'm thinking of, you know, we'll get to it. But I mean, yeah, the album starts out pretty strong with Last Rites, Love to Death, the title track, Skull Beneath the Skin, Rattlehead's okay, Chosen Ones, Looking Down a Cross. I feel like Mechanics is kind of overrated. Like it's just a faster version of the Four Horsemen by Metallica, with the like original, quote unquote original, more like sexual lyrics in the song, if I'm correct. And then of course the controversial These Boots cover, which has been butchered a million times over. And I don't think there's any way to actually get an album that has the uncensored version unless you actually get a CD or a vinyl from 85, which is when the album came out. But honestly, yeah, it's a decent album. So but I think C is fair. It's not the best. Also, if you're wondering, I removed the E and F tiers because I don't think Megadeth have made any albums that are worse than a D. But we'll see, I guess. Okay, so Peace Sells, but Who's Buying? I have a very, very hot take about Peace Sells, but Who's Buying? It's not a bad album, but it's very front-loaded. Like, Wake Up Dead, The Conjuring, Peace Sells. The first 3 songs on the album, the 3 best songs on the album, some of the best songs that Megadeth have ever done, and the rest of the album is just kind of just alright. Like, it's fine. There's nothing really wrong with it. Devil's Island's a decent song. Bad Omen is alright. I Ain't Superstitious is kind of weird. It's another cover song. But yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, it's the second album, so I would say it's probably a step up from Killing Is My Business. But I think B is quite fair. And I'm also not going to be so worried about ranking the albums in the specific tiers because we'd be here all day. Oh, and this for like the first time, I think one of the only times Megadeth have ever had a lineup change up, or well, had a. So yeah, Dave Mustaine, David Ellison, Chris Poland, and Garth Samuelson are the original members of Megadeth, and they also played on Peace Cells. Scroll all the way down. Yep, same lineup. Unfortunately, Peace Cells would be the last album that they do with that lineup because it's Megadeth. it's gonna be quite frank. It's Megadeth. So for So Far So Good, So What? Mustaine fired both Chris Poland and Garth Samuelson, so now we've got Jeff Young on lead guitar and Chuck Baylor on drums. And I mean, they do a good job. You know, there's not. I would say So Far So Good, So What is almost a little underrated, but at the same time, it's kind of just one of those Megadeth albums that's like, you don't really remember. It's kind of forgettable. Not to say that it's bad, it's just you don't really remember a whole lot of it. Like, let's pull up the track list here. Into the Lungs in Hell, great instrumental. In My Darkest Hour, obviously, iconic song. You know, I like the cover of Anarchy in the UK. I know some people really hate it. It's fine. Hook and Mouth is pretty cool. Set the World Afire. Mary Jane, 502. Yeah, it's not bad, but there's way better out there. So I think we're gonna also put that in C. And I'll say I would put Peace Cells down here because I feel like that's more fair. Like only three really great songs, but those 3 songs are so good that I think it really impacts the entire album. Let's see here. Rust in Peace. Oh my, yeah, this is an automatic S tier. I don't even need to explain to you why Rust in Peace is so good, because you probably already know it, because you probably already listened to it, because it's such an iconic record. This was the first lineup with probably the best Megadeth lineup ever. Dave Mustaine, David Ellison, Marty Friedman, and Nick Menza. These 4 just create some of the best metal music ever made. And yeah, this lineup would actually last for quite a while, as we'll see in future albums. But yeah, just absolutely iconic record. You know, just full of classic songs. Hangar 18, Holy Wars, Take No Prisoners, 5 Magics, Tornado of Souls, Rust in Peace, the title track, was pretty cool. I pretty much like every single song on here, even the worst songs like Lucretia or Dawn Patrol are still pretty solid. Dawn Patrol is actually really fun to play on bass. But yeah, it's an incredible album. I mean, Holy Wars has 101 million streams on Spotify as I'm looking at it right here. Tornado of Souls has 76 million. Hangar 18 has 59 million. So yeah, this album, it deserves that S ranking. It's my favorite Megadeth album. It's a lot of people's favorites, and it's like that for a reason. Just truly a work of art. And also, on another note, why is the original version not on Spotify anymore? Like for most of the, like, even for these later era albums that did get remasters, System is Failed, Abominations, Endgame, the original versions are still available. But why not Rust in Peace? And even Euthanasia is gone. And of course, the original versions of Countdown and the first 3 albums are nowhere to be found, or really any original mixes besides what's out now. I don't understand why that is, but I want to know why, because it's dumb. A lot of people agree that the original mix of Rust in Peace is the best, and I would also agree with that. I don't mind the remaster. The remaster's okay, but it's not how I would want to listen to these if it were up to me. Countdown to Extinction. Countdown to Extinction is a pretty solid album. It's not as good as Rest in Peace. This is probably their Black album, like in terms of just having an album that absolutely exploded in popularity. Same lineup as Rest in Peace, thankfully. But yeah, not the best. We've got some amazing songs on this album. Skin in My Teeth, Symphony of Destruction, Foreclosure of Dreams, Sweating Bullets, This Was My Life, the title track, High Speed Dirt, Psychotron, Ashes in Your Mouth. Yeah, this is a really good album. Symphony of Destruction, 209 million plays. Wow, that's crazy. But it's good. But I would say that it isn't as good as Rest in Peace. No album is as good as Rest in Peace, but yeah, I think I'm gonna be pretty comfortable with putting Countdown in A tier, just because it's not as just incredible of a listening experience as Rest in Peace, or yeah, it's good. Like I would say, like on amount, if we're just ranking them on the amount of how many good tracks there are, yeah, Countdown's probably an S tier. But I just don't personally think. I don't know. I'm feeling pretty comfortable with the A tier. We'll also look at the community ranking whenever we're done, just to see how wrong we are. Euthanasia. This, yeah, another S tier. I fucking love Euthanasia. I feel like Euthanasia was the album where Megadeth really defined their more radio-friendly sound, and just everything is just better for it. I think the songwriting is much better. It's just a very solid, badass album to listen to. Reckoning Day, obviously, incredible opening song. I know Train of Consequences is kind of a controversial song with fans, but I really like it. Addicted to Chaos, Tout Le Monde, The Killing Road, Blood of Heroes, Family Tree, the title track, I Thought I Knew It All, Victory, which Victory is actually a pretty cool song because basically all the verses are just referencing older songs, which Dave does like to do that sometimes. But yeah, again, I don't mind I like the remaster, but I kind of wish the original version was on there, because that way I could skip all the bonus tracks, because I really don't want to listen to those. Cryptic Writings. What do we say about Cryptic Writings? Well, it's certainly an album. I'm making it to sound like it's really bad or something. Yeah, by the way, Hidden Treasures is here. I'm not sure why. I'm not gonna rank it because it's an EP, so I don't really think it's fair to compare it to full studio albums. But got some pretty cool songs on it. Some decent covers. Angry Gang Go to Hell. There's some great songs. They're covering Paranoid by Black Sabbath, obviously, and then I guess to make it a full album, they added some demos later on as part of the reissue, which I don't really care about. So yeah, I don't really think it's fair to rank it. But Cryptic Writings, some great songs on it. Trust, She-Wolf, Vortex, Almost Honest is pretty. It's all right. Megadeth aren't the best at writing ballads, but Almost Honest is fine. I'll Get Even is actually a pretty cool song. I actually like it. It's a bit softer, but it's not a ballad. I wouldn't say it's a ballad, but it's a bit more clean sounding, and it's kind of cool. Got a neat chorus. FFF is a neat way to end the album. And yeah, it's just, I'm looking at the trials. I have no recollection of how these songs go, except for the ones that I actually do listen to on a somewhat regular basis. But yeah, when Cryptic Writings is good, it's really good. But whenever it's not the best, it's really kind of forgettable, and that's really most Megadeth albums. I would say there's very, very few that offer just an incredible listening experience the whole way through. And we're gonna go right to Risk because it's the same lineup. You know, Dave Mustaine, David Ellison, Marty Friedman, Nick Menza. It's, yeah. Cryptic Writings, I think we're gonna put this one in C tier. It's fine. Risk, we gotta talk about Risk, I guess. Risk is not as terrible of an album as a lot of people make it out to be, but it's really not impressive at all. It's really boring. I'll say that. It's boring as shit to listen to. Like, there's a couple of fine songs, I guess. Crush 'Em, I guess, is kind of a guilty pleasure. Prince of Darkness is fine. It's way too fucking long, though. Almost 7 minutes. God. Insomnia, just that it sounds really harsh. Like they have some sort of effect on it or some sort of instrument that creates this really shrill, like, melody, and it's just not fun to listen to. Breadline is the most basic ass fucking alternative rock radio single that Megadeth have ever done, and it's not the best. It's tolerable, but it's hardly tolerable. I'll Be There is, I guess, okay. It's fine. Time to the Beginning and Time to the End. I think Time to the End's a little better because it's a bit more thrashy. As thrashy as Megadeth gets on Risk, because Risk is not really a metal album at all. It's more alternative rock. But yeah, that's D tier. I don't think it's F because there are some decent songs on it, but you know, it's my least favorite by a long shot. The World Needs a Hero. So after Risk, this is almost a return to form, I guess. We had Nick Menza and Marty Friedman both left. I don't recall if Mustaine fired Nick Menza or if he left on his own. I don't know. I know Marty Friedman left on his own. But whatever. So on this album, we obviously have Mustaine and Ellison, and then Jimmy DeGrasso on drums. I'm not sure what bands he's been in. Let's see. Ozzy Osbourne, Stone Sour, Alice Cooper, David Lee Roth, Ministry. Okay, so he's played with some pretty established guys. Okay, I'm not too familiar with his work. And then Al Pitrelli on guitar, lead guitar. Trans-Siberian Orchestra, Alice Cooper, Sabotage. Okay, so, like, you know, I mean, Mustaine's not gonna pick like nobodies to be in his band, but it's just like, it's interesting to see where he gets other people from. But yeah, World Needs a Hero. What do I say about World Needs a Hero? It's kind of on the same wavelength as like Cryptic Writings, where, you know, when it's good, it's great, but when it's not good, it's really bland. The title track's fine. Motorcycle is another one of those like kind of guilty pleasure songs for me. It's just catchy, fun. Obviously, Dread and the Fugitive Mind is like the favorite on this album, even though Promises has 10 million more streams. That's weird. Return to Hangar is a neat song. It's a little like callback to Hangar 18, almost like a Hangar 18 Part 2. Some also has Megadeth's longest song ever, with When, the last song on the album, with 9 minutes and 14 seconds long. That's interesting. I mean, it's not a really good song, but it's long. So yeah, I think we're gonna put World Needs a Hero also in the C tier. I know it probably seems like I'm not really a huge fan of Megadeth, but I am. They're one of my favorite bands, you know, and I think we're gonna start seeing some better stuff in around here. So the real comeback. So after World Need to Hero came out, Dave Mustaine got an injury. He broke his arm, I think, and he couldn't play guitar for a while. But whenever he did, he reformed Megadeth without David Ellison, and Ellison sued him for that, I'm pretty sure. Which sucks, but you know. And holy shit, I just took a fucking glimpse at that. Holy fuck. So, okay, so System has Failed has had a lot of people playing on it. Let's go through the list. Chris Poland actually comes back. Lead guitar on all tracks except I Know Jack, Truth Be Told, and Scorpion. Okay. Jimmy Lee Sloas. Vinny. I'm not even gonna try to pronounce this. I mean. Okay, so like some maybe gang vocals or backup vocals. Okay. Alright. Sorry for the silence, but yeah, let's actually, I'm gonna pull up the track list of System Has Failed, because it is a decent album. It's a solid comeback. We've got Black Belt the Universe, which is one of my favorite Megadeth songs of all time. Killer opener for the album, and it's just got some really badass riffs, and Mustaine's vocals are really cool in that song. Die Dead Enough, Kick the Chair, Back in the Day. Back in the Day is a really cool song because it's like about like reminiscing on the metal scene in like the 80s. Something That I'm Not's a pretty cool song too. I like it. But yeah, it's not bad. I think B is pretty fair for The System Has Failed. Actually, you know, we'll put Cryptic Writings up in B too, because Trust is such a good song, and Shitty Wolf and all that. Like the great songs, I think, make this actually a lot better. So we're gonna make it kind of the chronology, whatever. So, United Abominations is the next album, and this one's actually quite good. It's actually very good. This is the Drover Brothers. Okay, so after The System Has Failed came out, Mustaine recruited the Drover Brothers, Glenn and Sean. Glenn plays guitar and Sean does drums. And he also hired James Lomenzo, who you might recognize as the current bass player of Megadeth, to play during this era in like the late 2000s. And, you know, they all do a really great job, and there's some pretty awesome songs on this album. Yeah, Sleepwalker, again, another one of my favorite Megadeth songs, which is Washington Is Next. Gears of War is cool. Play for Blood. I like the re-recording of it too, Lemon. They play it. They tune the song up to standard because Euthanasia they tuned down a half step on the guitars. And this version is more of a duet between Dave Mustaine and Christina Scabia from the Kuna Coil, so I like that. Well, you can see I forgot to tab out back to the list. Oh man, this is so scuffed, but it's in the Trav Nort name. It's absolutely scuffed. America Stan is kind of cringe politics, but not because of what they're talking about. It's just some of the stuff he says in that song is just kind of but it's a fun song. You're Dead's cool. Yeah, this song's actually quite good. I'm probably gonna have to re-listen to it. So I think I'm not gonna rank it in A, but I think I'll go B for United Abominations. Endgame. Endgame is an album that I remember listening to, but I don't remember a whole lot about it. Dialectic Chaos. I know that this was the first album that Chris Broderick played guitar on, and Chris Broderick's awesome. Yeah, so Glenn Drover left, And then, so we got Chris Broderick on lead guitars, and then James Lomenzo and Sean Drover on drums. And, pretty good lineup. And I just don't really remember much about this album. This Day We Fight's cool. Head Crusher is probably the song that everybody knows from this album. 44 minutes, title track. Hardest Part of Letting Go, Seal with a Kiss. I'm pretty sure that was the ballad that Mustaine wrote about his wife. And, I think we're gonna put Endgame purely in the C tier. I think just because I'm not too familiar with it. I mean, I'm sure it's a solid album, but I just don't really remember much about it. Because again, I listened to all these albums like months ago, so I'm trying to remember, but I didn't want to go through them all again just to end up having probably the same opinions. 13, we can throw this in the D tier. It's not the best album, but hey, Ellefson's back. That's cool. He's back in the band. So Dave Mustaine, David Ellefson, Chris Broderick, and Sean Drover playing drums. That's cool. The main issue I have with 13 is that it's not so much of an album, but more of just like a collection of random leftover songs that Mustaine had, and either decided to rework, and it just kind of seemed thrown together. And it was like they named it 13 because that was the 13th album. There's 13 songs on the album. It's just the first two songs are really the only ones really worth going back to. Sudden Death and Public Enemy No. 1. Those two songs are really good. Black Swan's not bad. But yeah, the rest of this album is just kind of just bleh. Just not interesting. But hey, it's thrashy. It sounds like Megadeth, so that has that going for it. So yeah, I already ranked 13. So okay, now controversial album time. We've got Super Collider. Now, everybody likes to trash on Super Collider, and I am not really sure why. From what I remember of it, it's not terrible. It's just, again, kind of the same problem with 13 is that it's just kind of bland. And it's not really that memorable. But, I mean, it's not, offensively terrible, I don't think. There are some good songs. I like Kingmaker. That's a pretty good opener. I really like Dance in the Rain, which features David Draymond of Disturbed, which is an interesting pick for a guest vocal. Megadeth don't really have many guest features on their songs, so it's kind of weird whenever they do. So yeah, same lineup as 13. Wow, surprising. A lineup for Dave Mustaine keeps a Megadeth lineup for more than one album. That's kind of crazy. But I mean, I joke around, but kind of true. I think we're going to put Super Collider also in D tier because I really don't remember it that well. Okay, and here's where we get to the good shit. Dystopia. Dystopia is awesome. I genuinely love Dystopia. It is a fantastic album. The Threat is Real, Dystopia, Fatal Illusion, Post-American World, Poisonous Shadows. Oh my god, Poisonous Shadows is so cool. Conquer, Die, Lying in States, The Emperor. Even the cover songs they did for this album are pretty good. For Foreign Policy, Melt the Ice Away, which is a Spotify exclusive track or whatever. Or it's probably on special editions somewhere. But yeah, Dystopia is fucking awesome. It is super heavy, super fast, and it's got some great people. So a basically completely different lineup. So Chris Broderick's gone, Sean Drover's gone, but we do have Kiko Loureiro on lead guitar, who is incredible. I would say Kiko is probably the best guitarist that Mustaine hired to be in Megadeth since Marty Friedman. And I think a lot of people will back me up on that. And also, Chris Adler from Lamb of God played the drums on this album, even though Chris Adler isn't in Lamb of God anymore, unfortunately. He did the drums for this album and then left the band a bit later on, so we got Dirk Verburen from Soilwork to replace him, and he does a really good job. And just Dystopia. I have no complaints about it. It is a fantastic album. But I know my original ranking, because I made one just for myself. I had Dystopia in S tier, but I'm feeling it's more of an A tier. And so that brings us to current day. The album that just came out last week, or about a week ago from when I'm recording this. Actually, a week ago, since I'm recording this, but I'm rambling. The Sick, the Dying, and the Dead. Great album. I really like it. It's awesome. It's got probably the best lineup that Megadeth have had since the 90s. So we got Dave Mustaine, Kiko Loureiro, Dirk Verburen on drums. It's the first album that he's actually getting to play drums on, because again, Chris Adler did the drums on Dystopia. And then we've got Steve DiGiorgio on bass. He's great. He's been in a ton of bands. He's in Testament now, but he's played for Death. I believe he was on Symbolic by Death, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure which album. But yeah, I mean, if you just even see here, Sadist, Death, Testament, Megadeth, Sebastian Bach, Ice Earth, Autopsy, Obituary, Control Denied. The dude's awesome. Incredible bassist. Ice-T does some guest vocals on Night Stalkers. He does more of like a spoken word rap verse almost. And then actually for this album they did a cover of This Planet's on Fire by Sammy Hagar, and Sammy Hagar himself actually does some vocals on the song, which is on the cover, which is cool. There's also a cover of Dead Kennedy's Police Truck that's pretty fun, but yeah, in terms of the original songs, I mean, there's not really anything to complain about, honestly. The title track is one of my favorite Megadeth songs now, of just their entire discography. Life in Hell, Night Stalkers, which Ice-T is on. Dogs of Chernobyl is a pretty cool, like slower kind of song. Not necessarily a ballad because it's still heavy, but yeah. Junkie, Killing Time, Soldier On, Debutante, Mission to Mars, We'll Be Back, the lead single is fucking incredible. Yeah, again, I have really no complaints about this new album. I'm actually wearing, you can't see it, but I'm actually wearing the shirt of this album. I bought the t-shirt like the day after the album release because I loved it that much. But yeah, very strong album of the year contender for me. It'll definitely be on the list that I'm gonna make after the year is done, or when the year is almost done, probably around December. But as far as a ranking, I think we're also gonna put the new album in S tier. So I'm feeling pretty good about this album. Not this album. This ranking, I meant to say. But yeah, I mean, I don't really have much else to add. You know, let's just go through. I like to do this. So in S tier we got Rest in Peace and Euthanasia. In A tier we got Countdown to Extinction, Dystopia, The Sick, the Dying, and the Dead, which is the brand new album. In B tier we got Peace Sells But Who's Buying, Cryptic Writings, The System Has Failed, and United Abominations. In C tier we've got Killing Is My Business and Business Is Good, So Far So Good So What, The World Needs a Hero, and Endgame. And then in D tier we have Risk, 13, and Super Collider. Again, these aren't really ranked how I would personally rank them, because it would probably be a bit more something like what I'm gonna do right now. Let's do that. Yeah, that's pretty good. It doesn't really change that much. If I were to rank these out, it really doesn't change much. But yeah, this is pretty good. And well, I hope you enjoyed listening to me ramble about a band that I really love, and that's about it. See ya.